Emma Goldman once said that if voting changed anything, they'd make it illegal. I used to think that was a ridiculous, extremist, and unrealistic way of looking at things. Then I started watching The Young Turks, and I began to see where she was coming from. There's been a big debate in California lately over taxing millionaires. Basically, the major teachers' unions, student organizations, and liberal NGOs have been lobbying Jerry Brown to raise rates on residents making over $1 million by 3% and raising taxes for income over $2 million by 5% in order to prevent more cuts in public education. Now, I have nothing against the principles of this campaign. I'd love for us to get a bit closer to a reasonable system of taxation. What I have a problem with is everything else. Historically, campaigns like this, that direct workers to lobby the state in order to implement particular legislation, have never yielded much in the way of practical results. Three things always make these efforts a waste of time, elements that were repeated in this campaign. One, they cost a huge amount of money that we don't have. When you're trying to influence a state run by capitalists, you have to deal in the currency of capitalists, which is basically just currency. When organizations that are funded by workers step into the roundhouse of people like the Koch brothers, who can write million-dollar checks on a whim, it's like watching a foot race between Usain Bolt and Cenk. It doesn't matter how good you may be in relation to the Annas of the world, you're still gonna get your ass kicked. Even if the entire working class put all of our wealth into one big pack, the top 1% of earners, need I remind you, have more wealth than all of us combined. They could still drown us in cash. And they did. It just can't beat an accumulation of surplus value like that. Which brings me to point number 2. Putting all of this energy into electoral politics is extremely disempowering. Even though I'm active in the Bay Area labor movement, and I'm a student of a California public university, I've never heard any of my fellow workers or students bringing up the Millionaires Tax. And there's a good reason for that. The campaign had the people it was ostensibly supposed to benefit playing a rather passive role. When you craft a mass movement around sending bureaucrats to Sacramento to lobby on behalf of a mass of people, and tell us that the biggest contribution we can make is voting, it's not surprising that no one wants to participate. I mean, while some people may find the prospect of walking into a booth several months down the line and pulling a lever for some shysters that say this, that, or the other really empowering, most people don't, and consequently have no interest in getting involved. But even that might be acceptable if it wasn't for the third and final aspect of campaigns like this that always make them ineffective. They end in failure. The major union bureaucrats that were negotiating with Brown came out with a compromise that's so bad it looks like the kind of thing Obama would call a victory. Assuming that there are no obstacles to it passing, the compromise only raises taxes on people making over $500,000 by 3%. But it still plans to raise $9 billion in revenue in the first year. And in order to do that, they've decided to actually increase taxes on the working class. Our sales tax, which is already the highest in the nation at 7.25%, is going to be raised to 7.5%. This is devastating, since workers pay a far larger share of their income in sales taxes than capitalists do. While I'd like to keep things civil, that's not to say that I could have done this campaign any better. Working class power doesn't come from our ability to lobby politicians and vote in November. It comes from our ability to retract our labor. That's why the Taft-Hartley Act made general strikes illegal. And I'd have to imagine that if voting had the same ability to get working class demands made as general strikes, they'd probably make that illegal too.